I was thinking we could do something like fun that
what
you guys are gonna hate, but I don't know. Because this is like a reset podcast, I was thinking we could do like a harmony, like reset, and then that's
yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, Jerry, that's
I
not
can't
happening.
sing, dog.
You can sing. I can't sing.
Why did you suggest it?
The wrong podcast, dog.
I was thinking it would be fun, but okay, that's all. That was what we got. Then.
That was our icebreaker.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. It was just you. Just me.
We can all go around and tell you a fun fact about ourselves.
That is worse.
Do you want to? All right, let's
that
do
was
it.
my second fear that you were going to say.
I have another
and
icebreaker.
then 2 truths and a lie. Don't say that.
Let's start with something fun fact. Everybody introduce themselves with a fun fact.
I'm Jake. All of you know me very well.
You gotta have a fun fact for the people that
the
don't
fun
know.
fact?
Yeah,
Don't
if
go
we're
outside.
If we're actually doing this, are we actually doing fun facts?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
If you want to add a fun fact, you can.
I'll talk.
All right,
about
no. Let's do. All right, let's switch it up. Let's not do fun facts. Let's do like just the most mundane fact about you. What is just the most frequent thing that is just like not surprising,
Like not fun thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Everyone listening should be like, yeah, I knew that. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
I'm Camden, professionally and socially known at. Well, no, let me start over.
Fuck. Gotta delete the whole thing.
Yeah, everything's done.
I'm Cam Stacy, producer, musician, and I guess for the purposes of this podcast, organizer behind Reset, which is an event organization, collective umbrella for all kinds of events and stuff happening in Chicago that we're gonna talk about on the podcast today. Happy to be here, Jerry, and I'll hand it off.
Was that the mundane fact?
Oh, mundane fact.
Cam is in charge of everything.
I broke my arm when I was 9.
That's fun, dog. But I'll take that.
Who are you?
Who am I? Who am I? That was a Mulan reference. I am TYGKO. I don't have an official title in Reset. I just got here. I run the door at book club. That's probably the most show-oriented thing that I do besides perform. I guess that's another thing. I'm an in-house opener for fucking Reset. If you need your show to be fire, just sprinkle a little TYG on the lineup.
Hey,
and those have been my main focuses in contributing to Reset.
Mundane fact.
Mundane fact. I roll joints very well.
nice.
Okay.
Well done.
I've
That
seen
might
them.
be a
They're
little
good.
bit more than mundane.
Not for anyone who's ever seen me.
No, but the thing is, like, some people don't know how to roll a joint. That's all I'm
Have
saying.
you ever seen me roll a joint?
It's pretty mundane.
It's very underwhelming.
All right, it's just like a normal,
I
not
roll, I just
coned.
roll that shit
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's done.
All right, that's making it more mundane. Okay. I'm like the mundane police.
I roll joints.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, it's my turn. I
This
see
is
you
Kale's
looking
turn.
at me.
Kale chewing his gum into the mic.
Hey, I'm
Start
chewing
off-
gum.
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
as
Let's
fuck.
go no gum.
No gum.
No.
Yeah.
Where do
let's go.
I
Swallow it,
spectrate
dog.
this?
Swallow your gum.
right.
Swallow it into the mic.
Don't swallow
You can put it on here, and then I'll.
Bro, gum passes normally. Don't even let them fool you. Why'd you
Okay.
press it onto it?
So it's
You nasty. You might as well just open your hand, bro.
We got that on
my mouth
video.
is very
Open your
clean.
palm
I flossed.
and ask him to put in it.
Oh my god.
Just take the whole paper off.
This is why we uploaded the video.
need the paper.
This is the content.
Why did you tell him to put gum on it?
I don't know.
Okay, Kale, introduce yourself.
My name is Kale. I love Reset and all my friends. I do the visuals for a majority of the shows. I'd say I'm like the resident VJ. But we do have other VJs come in here and there. It's awesome. Sometimes I get to perform, which is cool too. All the shows are great. What am I supposed to? Oh yeah,
Mundane.
a mundane fact. I like the Subway tuna. I don't care that I don't know.
Whoa,
what it is.
that's like controversial though.
And
I don't
to be clear, Subway, the fast food restaurant, not Subway, the place where you catch the train.
Just
Yeah,
like
no.
sandwiches
Yeah.
that people are
Can you
selling.
hold up that Subway cup to make sure that they know that we're sponsored?
Oh my god,
we
I
are not
totally forgot
sponsored.
we were on video.
But
No
Subway,
free clout.
Subway, yeah, no free clout.
Subway, fuck
give
you.
give Jerry money.
Keep the tuna mysterious, Subway.
Yeah.
And
I
Kale,
like it.
And Kale did failed to mention that he's professionally known as Palpa.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He does that.
I
Palpa.
feel like like the Airhead thing where it's like the mystery flavor.
Mhm.
They should like rebrand the tuna like that.
They're the same color.
Mystery
That'd be cool.
flavor.
Mystery
Comes in a package.
flavored meat.
Mystery meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sandwich.
I would get that every time.
Yeah.
I do get that every time.
They sell that at
Just a mix of
Starbucks.
meats.
All right, let's let Jake talk.
I'm Jake. I make beats as Ellipsis. I do a lot of little odds and ends stuff with Reset. Cam does most of it. I kind of just lick the bowl and take credit for it when I can.
Yeah.
And perform sometimes. And mundane fact, I'm half Greek and I'm learning Greek.
Hey.
Hell
let's
yeah.
go.
Nice.
Shout out to my half Greek brethren over here. I can't do that as my mundane fact. I am also half Greek.
You can't steal that. From me.
I never introduced myself. I mean, like, I got a couple mundane facts. My eye's twitching, and it's been twitching for like.
My eyes also been twitching today.
Is that like a
Is
COVID
it the
thing?
left
Because there's a
eye?
No,
few people.
I think it's a caffeine thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And sleep.
You both just
yeah.
And
cracked
stress.
it.
It's definitely an oxygen thing. You
sleep.
need to take a series of deep breaths and you will stop spasming.
This is actually a meditation podcast. It
And
actually
we are in
did
a
stop.
closed-in room, so
It did stop
I
twitching.
mean, it is supposed to do that.
I guess I'm just not breathing right.
No,
Um,
I am twitching less now.
that is
That's
what
crazy.
that is. Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Jerry. I'm the host of Poducer. I also make beats, and
Just Jerry.
I go by Just Jerry. And my mundane fact is I had braces.
Hell
too.
yeah,
Hell
man.
yeah.
How long do you have braces?
Very mundane.
I don't know, like a year.
That is mundane.
It's super mundane.
Yeah,
like
it's a
so many people have
Yeah.
had braces.
Yeah.
Mundane amount of time to have braces.
I had braces
Yeah.
for like 5 years because like insurance ran out in the middle of it, and then
Oh, you had to
they
get
put me back
back?
on.
Oh.
But the orthodontist was under new management, and so they completely started me over,
Real shit.
and then I didn't wear my retainer.
I also
Yeah,
had, I also had braces for a really long time. But all the listeners at home should brace yourselves for a crazy episode because we're on camera for the first time ever.
Yeah, shout out to the camera. Shout out to Office Depot.
And
Sponsored.
and we're talking about Reset, which I've never like talked at length on record about before. I don't know about
Nice.
you guys, but
No,
No.
Yeah, let's
I
do
just
it.
got here.
Let's do it. I have one more icebreaker question just because
Let's do it.
it was requested by a super fan. And the question is,
we have super fans.
well, I don't know. I mean, it's one of my friends from high school. Shout out Ryan.
Shout out Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Depending on what your question's about to be.
Yeah, it's
No,
pretty
it's-
mundane. It's fitting to the concept of mundane, so we'll
Okay.
be good on that. What kind of batteries do you prefer?
Are we Duracell?
Duracell?
Rechargeable.
Okay, wait. We got Energizer. We got the brand from the store that's just like CVS brand.
The
Kirkland,
generic, yeah.
generic
Yeah, you
version.
never want to get those.
You don't want those?
No, they run out of juice too fast.
We
You
got
ever go to
packages
Dollar
of
Tree?
24 Duracells in our
Oh.
house.
See?
And
Duracell?
Yeah, we cop those.
Duracell? I'm trying to move to the rechargeable ones.
I
Those seem
switch it
really
up
fudge.
sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
You
like,
switch it up.
Good.
I like Energizer sometimes. It's just a different look.
It is.
I like the look of Energizer.
It's good.
Yeah, I
hear
mean,
Like if I get an RC car, like I'm not gonna get a Duracell for that. I'm gonna get an Energizer. 'cause
You
it
want that
looks
bunny.
faster.
Energizer also has like the companion devices on lock. So like
Yeah.
Duracell just makes batteries. Energizer makes batteries, flashlights, rechargeable stuff, recharging devices.
I have so I guess I'm an Energizer guy because I have
Respectable.
a thing. Like, that was so crucial when I used to play Xbox 360, like just
The
recharging.
rechargeable, yeah. My dad used to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, my
having that little
stepdad.
hub, it can do AAA and AA. So Energizer is also a sponsor of this podcast. I don't know if I can get in
For real?
trouble for saying that, but they
No,
are.
there's no
No.
fucking way
If
you
they
could get
find
in
you
trouble.
and sue you, you will get more famous than.
Yeah.
Give
Local
yourself the free
Chicago
thought.
podcaster sued for batteries. Batteries.
Lifetime
Super
supply of
battery.
Energizer.
Sued for lying about being sponsored.
Print your own.
That
cloud.
bunny's gonna come and kick your ass.
That's awesome.
Gonna beat the shit out of you with those drumsticks.
Oh, bro. No, I hope not.
Yeah, Energizer has the bunny. Duracell has my dad as their mascot.
Yo, but the new Duracell batteries are kind of cute. They got the little designs on
They
them.
are cute.
Yeah.
You mean with the lines?
Yeah,
and
the
shit?
lines and shit. I like
these
that.
ones will last
I
longer.
like that. I don't even give a fuck what they're supposed to do. The colors are.
Oh yeah, okay. You're
push
talking
the
about where you
thing
push
and
it and it
goes
shows you how
up.
much juice.
Whoa!
What
that
even
shit.
is that
Yeah.
though?
That's,
How do they do
there's
that?
No way that's
How do
healthy.
they do that?
Is it mercury?
No.
They didn't have mercury.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's definitely some like forever chemicals or something.
Yeah. That's
So
just not
weird.
going away.
That's
It's
good.
That shit. I used to do that as a kid. That could have been so dangerous. What if I did it with my tooth or something?
Anything to give my Game Boy Color an extra hour.
yeah. I mean, literally anything.
I put batteries in my mouth as a child, definitely multiple occasions.
Oh,
Made my tongue feel weird.
Zap you.
Yeah.
Oh,
what
now
the
you-
hell?
But now you
They,
rap
like,
good.
buzz it.
Yeah,
It
now I rap
starts
good. I think
create-
that's
no,
why.
I think I know what you mean.
That's why I rap fast as
I
shit.
think I know what you're talking about. That weird tongue feel.
Get
Yeah,
that
like,
electric tongue.
You know, you get a little like
Yeah.
little energy.
It wasn't even
from
in my
them.
whole tongue. It was just like on the spot. It's just like I can tell there's a reaction happening.
What
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fuck?
I would
No,
take it off, but like I will feel
You
it.
like
though.
spit it out, yeah.
No, I
but-
didn't spit. I didn't put it all the way in my mouth.
Oh, I swallowed it. Yeah.
What the
no,
fuck?
I'm just, no, I'm just joking.
I'm glad you
I don't
And that's
spit.
why your
I
kidney
swallow.
bad. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, that's why I have crippling anxiety.
Shout out
Because you
Ryan.
ate a battery.
Shout out Ryan. That was a good question.
Yeah, Ryan.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Goldberg.
That all came from I asked what kind of milk this one of the guys like, because it's a controversial topic.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
We don't
like
have
the
to-
milk of the cow tit.
You like the cow tit?
Yes.
Nice.
We don't have to go.
Yeah, let's not talk.
There's too many
Milk of the breast.
icebreakers here at this
Derailed.
point. Yeah, the whole.
Our ice is
Let's
melted.
leave that ice unfractured.
Let's talk reset, and then I got some other questions too, just for like producers.
Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I think we explained.
Yeah, fuck me.
Yeah, well, you know.
We're gonna have to
And
ask you to leave,
rappers.
dog.
I mean, last episode. This is gonna come out after your episode.
Immediately.
I think so.
All right, yeah. Last
this might
week
get
me-
edited out.
Fuck you.
But you want to just do like a quick little explanation of the goal of reset and why it all came together?
Sure. So the push for reset was much like 80 to 90% of my skill set was like, if I wanted to continue to make music a part of my everyday life and a part of my professional life, and also open up doors of possibilities for my friends who are also making music and trying to pursue it seriously, especially here in Chicago, but also, elsewhere. I knew that we would have to, at least in Chicago's music culture and music climate, you could call it, it was going to be, I was thinking like toward the end of my college career, 2017, 2018, I knew that it was going to become necessary to be able to host our own shows, organize our own shows, and keep everything in-house to provide a live platform for myself and my friends who are making music. The push there comes from a lot of different places. Pretty high on the list being the electronic music that's available live in Chicago, and people in other geographic markets can probably relate to this, but it is highly boys club, nepotistic, kind of kept all in-house, really just booking the same headliners over and over again, whatever's hot, and then bolstering it with the same rotation of 3 to 5 DJs, many of whom aren't even making their own music, are making just flips and remixes. at the very most. That's not to knock that, but
Like more DJs type of deal.
Exactly,
They're just
yeah.
doing like bootleg shit.
right. So that was one push. There's another, excuse me, I guess you could call it niche of the live electronic music that's available in Chicago that is being put on by, I guess you could call them amateur organizations that are, and I don't mean amateur pejoratively, like they don't know what they're doing, but like people who are doing it for as a hobby for funsies.
Like
Where-
DIY or
Yeah, DIY type stuff where the object is really just to platform themselves as DJs, not necessarily musical artists who are making original material. And that is usually, almost always, from my personal experience, coupled with gimmicks to these events are essentially more parties than concerts or shows, where the gimmick is like get as many women through the door as possible.
So
Make
like that typical like club mentality.
Exactly, yeah. So I started Reset initially with Jake Ellipsis's help, as well as DJ, not a DJ, who is not here right now. With
But
us,
we would have loved. We would have been like.
would have loved him. His
Love you.
sleep schedule is
The bro
fucked.
heat though would have been hot. I mean, it's already
Yeah.
kind of hot in here, and I apologize.
Yeah,
His
and-
voice
and
would
DJ
have been amazing on this.
DJ is
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
DJ runs warm.
Yeah. So where we were kind of the I started that with Jake and Deej. Initially, I announced in December 2018 that I was going to start this thing called Reset, and I really took my time in coming up with the name and the branding behind all of it. And it is kind of a I decided to call it Reset because it's meant to be kind of a return to basics and really focus and platform the artists first and put on good original music that I was not seeing being put on elsewhere in the city and that was deserving of a platform here. So now our model essentially is for our show format essentially is I'll try to put on a nationally rising talent or two. Sometimes it shakes out. We're able to put on more than one, and then I'll bolster it with all kinds of artists in the Chicago area that are also making awesome original content. So it's really kind of it's so corny, but it's like being the change that I want to see.
Yeah,
in the
that's
scene,
what
know?
you were explaining as before, that there was like this also negative kind of energy to some of the typical club scenes, like
Totally.
it's like
there
kind
are
of toxic.
there are a few things that I hate more than the club social dynamic, like the club social dynamic, you know.
Yeah,
So made my own little club. you
Yeah.
know, that
yeah.
anyone who's making good music can join.
you guys have anything to say just to add on to that?
I was gonna add one thing. I think like an important thing about Reset is like it is like about the like local community, like the local talent, like finding talented people that don't really have much of a platform and bringing them out to do a show. Sometimes their first show, like we've been doing the Open Aux,
A lot of
where
shows
we
do
have
that.
either one or three artists come in and actually get to perform before like the main show starts. And I mean, lots of people come out for those kind of opportunities.
Is the Open Aux planned at all beforehand, or it's just like you show up and it's like maybe you got an opportunity?
So sometimes it is. We just recently have started making it something where people can just show up, and it works very similar to a traditional open mic, where it's not planned at all beforehand, and people can just show up and sign up for a 10-minute slot. We did that for the first time a couple of weeks ago as of this record.
It worked out well.
And it worked out great. But before that, especially with vocal acts, like to give them a little more prep time, a day or two. And we'll take essentially like a demo submission process where people will email us, artists will email us a couple of their what they feel are their best showings, their best songs, their best showings of what they can do, and we'll pick the one that we feel fits the most. Sometimes I'll involve the headliner or our imported talent, quote unquote imported, our touring act, to help me choose the open aux slot as well. That's how we usually do it, but I think we're gonna be doing that like more traditional open mic, show up and sign up, first come first serve format a little more.
For people who might be interested in this, like especially in the Chicago area, can you just show up with like one track that you want to play and just push play?
Yeah.
You don't have to DJ.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
you don't even have to DJ. You can pull up, and I was expecting more people to do this when we tried this the first time, but you can just pull up with like your phone and have SoundCloud on, and just like, if you have an iPhone, make sure you have your dongle with you, and it's literally open aux. The aux is right there, and if you feel like
Just play whips.
showing up and playing whips, you can do that. If you show up early enough, it's first come first serve. If you show up early enough to put your name on the list, and you just want to play 3 songs back to back to back,
Word.
fuck it.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Word. There was also, I wanted to just kind of mention the book club really quick too, because that's like another. You want to explain kind of how that came to be too, because that's kind of like, that's a newer aspect of it.
It initially was an extension of Reset. That's what I initially intended for it, and quickly figured out that was not a viable thing to do with the venue financially. But as I mentioned, I decided that we were going to start doing shows, organizing and throwing shows under Reset in like December 2018. And we threw our first show February of 2019 with our friend William Crooks. Shout out Willie.
Oh, that was the first show?
That was the very first show.
I think we went to the second show, because me and Kale actually, like, literally first episode of the podcast was me and Kale through one of my friends, and we somehow found out about Reset, and we're like, yo, what? Like,
it was probably the second show was the Umru show. But I remember meeting you guys up there. We were throwing those shows at a place called the Throne Room. I think the marquee for the Throne Room is still up. But
that place is a crater now. R.I.P.
Throne Room, we're coming for you.
It was. It closed down for a while. I'm not sure what's going on.
I think
Hopefully they bounce back.
Takeout pizza side is still open. I think the rest of it's not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the pizza aspect was nice.
Yeah.
Just go downstairs, get some
Food
pizza.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the pizza place next door was Rinaldi's. Rinaldi's technically owned Throne Room, and we would rent out the Throne Room space. It's just a small 100-cap theater, just a little bit bigger than what we have now. But anyway, we were throwing shows up there starting early 2019. We get to a full year of throwing shows February 2020, where we moved and we had our first show ever in the Sub T big room. Shout out Subterranean. You don't need our clout, but that was a really fun show. A lot of people showed out. It was a release show for our friend Harry. Shout out Harry. And then pandemic happened, and we kind of had to hunker down. And we did lots of live stream stuff, feedback streams, things like that.
Camp Fridays.
A lot of people were doing, focused on the music, back to making shit. Bandcamp Fridays, and then shows. Summer 2021 rolls around. Vaccines are efficacious, and shows become kind of mostly safe again. And I knew that I wanted to bring the live shows back. And this is a crazy story. This is an exclusive.
An exclusive.
Exclusive story. I tell this story a lot. So we gear up, and we're so stoked to have our first show in the pandemic post game, June 2021, the last week of June 2021. And we slate it to happen at Kip Studios, which is in Logan Square. Really dope art space. And they let us have an after party pre-pandemic, February 2020. And I was like, oh, would you have us back? They were like, absolutely. It was so much fun. Really great culture, really great people. We've built a really good community around the shows. We'd love to have you back. So we start planning like 6 weeks out. We're going to have Fraxium. We're going to have Ivy Halavana. We're going to have TYGKO.
Yes.
And it's going to be so sick. And we roll everything out. Moving up to the show, So that's like we start planning 6 weeks in advance. We get to the show's supposed to happen on a Friday, June 25th, 2021. We get to the Monday before that, so June 21st. And I get a call from Mel, who's a friend of mine who runs Kip Studios. And I got to stop and think and make sure that I'm not doxing anything or any important information. There were some complications at Kip Studios where they were like, we can't have the show anymore. And like impassable obstacles to hosting the show at Kip. Wow. And I was like, shit, we're 4 days out. The show's sold out. We put up pre-sales. The show's sold out at this point.
Yeah.
Fraxium has garnered 10 times the following over the pandemic. They're blowing up hard. And it's a lot of people are coming out to see Frax. We had people flying in from out of state to see this show.
Wow.
I was like, we can't just cancel this outright. So I spent the next 48 hours scrambling. I was still kind of like lightly one of my day jobs is I teach. I had some time off from that, so I spent literally the next 48 hours straight looking for a short-term space, something that we could rent short-term. Everything was just either booked or so prohibitively expensive where I was really discouraged from having the show at all. And then I remembered the space that's now the book club that I worked comedy shows at in college. And I was like, I wonder what they're doing at that space. And I decided to drop by one time in this 48-hour window leading up to when we would lease the space, when I signed off and decided to go in on the space. Went to see it, and there's a for rent sign in the window. And I stopped in and I was like, you know, the amount of money that I would pay for one night at some other venue is about what I would pay to rent this place for a month. And I've been throwing shows and organizing shit for long enough to where if I were to go in on a space, I have the skill set now, and I have the people around me now to do it all ourselves. And so we did.
Wow.
And then the show happened that Friday, and probably a few too many people in there, but it was a hit.
That's crazy.
And so that's the home base for the Reset shows. And it's called Book Club, at Book Club Chai on Instagram. We talked about it a little bit on TYG's episode, but that is that's the
under the
origin
gun.
story.
Just like I gotta figure something out. That's very serendipitous that you like walked in there and it was just for sale.
It was dirty as fuck in there.
We cleaned the shit out of that shit.
Gross.
Yeah. TYG and I scrub-a-dubbed.
Shitty, but it's clean now.
Yeah.
Damn. That's the shit though that you'll like always remember and think back on fondly and be like, yeah, I hated scrubbing, but at the same time,
it was fun the whole time because it was like, I don't know, like we weren't really sure how we were gonna do it, but it's like if anybody else was given that opportunity, they would be much less prepared than like what we were to do at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for the first couple of months, but it got picking up pretty quick. And then, pandemic. And now it's picked right back up. We got like 6 shows a week.
Dude, yeah, I saw your calendar. So for anyone that wants to go follow the book club, it's like you have to follow and get accepted, right? It's not like
so it's
no police.
Public.
Yeah, right. Correct. Yeah, the Instagram is private, and that's kind of where I'm hosting all of the venue related stuff, Reset and otherwise.
Gotcha.
At Book Club Chai on Instagram.
For sure. Do you guys have anything to add on to the book club thing?
Jake Kale.
You don't have to. I'm just
gonna
curious.
say, like, you guys like not only cleaned that place, but didn't you guys like rebuild the stage and all kinds of shit?
Yeah.
Zavi.
Shout out Zavi, Ophelia Records artist and close friend of ours.
Been on the podcast too.
Hard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I forgot about that. Very nice young man who, when he's not making bangers for Seven Lions label, he is I don't care if I get this wrong. He's an engineer of some sort for the state of Illinois. That's his day job. And so he was like, we had thrown a few shows, and we had noticed that the existing stage in the venue was kind of spongy, kind of bouncy. And he was like, yo, we just need to take a day and just tear all this shit up and figure out what's wrong with this stage. And so Zavi and I took 8 hours on a Saturday and tore up the stage. And we were actually with I was really helping him. He wasn't helping me rebuild the stage. I helped him with his big engineer brain. We were actually able to like break up all the pieces that were underneath the stage that were faulty and like shittily installed is essentially what it came down to. And we were able to actually just like Lego piece everything together in a more in a stronger, more stable way. And that's how we rebuilt the stage. Zavi helped out. Shout out Zavi. Kale is absolutely right.
Word. Are there any things that like really, when you throw a show, you're like, this is the first priority to like make sure that we don't have too many people in here, like fire code stuff, or like how much did you
talk about code, please?
I mean, like, yeah, I'm just curious, like, if there's anything that you're like, okay, this is like the most important thing, like we don't fuck up.
The floor.
Yeah. So definitely top of the list is, like you said, managing capacity and managing the number of people in there. We watch that very closely when it's our own space. That's something that a lot of people, when they're throwing their own shows, maybe hosting a show at a venue that's not theirs, that they don't run, something that a lot of people take for granted is the safety aspect. So definitely managing the number of people in there.
No, it's sketch. I went to like a warehouse party the other day, and it was packed to the brim, and like I only noticed that there was really one place to get out, and I just started thinking like what if, I don't know, it's just, you always gotta keep that in mind.
And I would say another thing is like making sure people are like keeping themselves safe, you know what I'm saying, making sure people aren't getting like blitz drunk or like coming in, like if someone does come in and they're like drunk, it's like I know to keep an eye on them to make sure that they're having water, like have a place to sit down or something like that. But like just, we have a small space, so we're not keeping track of hundreds of people like in a warehouse. It's like we just have to make sure that the people that come through our door are safe.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
always free water too.
Yeah, what I was gonna point out too is like even before we got the venue, safety and inclusion have been probably another forefront part of Reset, is like making sure everyone comes and feels comfortable and isn't worried about like shady people or
I've never been worried when I was there. I was like, this is all good vibes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Jake. Like that's definitely high up on our what's it called, our pillars, I guess you could call it, on which Reset rests. You could say, is the inclusion aspect and making sure that everyone is there and can feel safe enough to where they don't need to worry about anything except enjoying what's going on stage.
For sure. I mean, if as someone like a customer, you don't normally think about that stuff.
Yeah. So, and I send this out with every like email blast for every show. Like, if you're being a creep, you're getting kicked out and you're not getting your money back.
No money back.
Yeah, that makes sense. Something I like just think about, this is like a stupid thought, but I used to have this place where we'd have big parties, and like it would get rowdy and there'd be a lot of people there, and I just thought in my head, like, what if everyone at the party just on the count of 3 jumped up in the air and just like plan that shit? Like that would be bad, right? Like I don't know, like is that, I'm always thinking like, is the structural integrity right? Like I mean, this was a house party.
But when I was in college, we broke multiple floors.
Really?
Yes. Look at Risk by Father. Bros, if any of my brothers watching this, you know who I'm talking about. If you went to Worcester, you probably were at that party. But yeah, it was like definitely everybody.
Floor?
Yeah, there's that Keys verse starts. I broke my fucking wrist trying to jizz on your bitch. I broke my fucking wrist doing donuts in a 6, and so everyone's just, I broke my fucking wrist. When everyone left, the floor was like, it was like we had to take everything out of that room and like walk across it like, I think this is going down, guys. Like, I think this is not good. And so they kicked us out of our house for like 2 weeks so they could rebuild the floor. And then they demolished the house, but whatever.
Damn.
Also,
Yeah,
kind
we
of
literally broke that house. And I tell people as we're coming through the door, if like we're at capacity, I tell people like, if I let you in and it gets rowdy in here and y'all break the floor, we will not have any more shows. So no, I can't let you in.
And when I say people take that for granted, I mean that they will actively shut it out of their minds when a show is going well in order to get more people in. And when TYG and I are like, no. You don't understand, it becomes unsafe starting now if we were to let more people in.
For sure.
Yeah, but don't you think we can let... No.
But it's my girlfriend and her brother and their best friend. Like, that's too many
she's
people.
small. Like, she only weighs
I've had
like
people say
90
that
pounds.
before. She's small. She'll be back here with me. Like, she can't go back there. It's too many artists.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So you got to have all of that stuff on lock. I just wanted to ask quickly, like, future plans. Like, I know you guys are booking the book club a lot. If you want to go check that out. Like, if you see any cool shows, definitely go. But I'm just curious, like, future plans for Reset, because you've been a thing now since you said 2018 officially.
We announced plans for it December of 2018, and we were throwing shows early 2019.
So like 4 years in, like, how do you move differently?
We are we're juggling so much, organizing our own venue right now, and now that the venue itself is bigger than Reset, and bigger than ourselves, really. It's been a lot to maintain. I would say future plans include continuing to branch out and book other places that are bigger than book club. It's really cool having full control over the setting of the shows, but it's really small. So we'll definitely be booking out other places. Hopefully returning to Sub T sometime soon. Hopefully other places. Lots more in the works. A lot that I'm trying not to talk about too much so as to jinx it. But
To be determined.
Truly.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Word. Well, we can talk more about Reset. I'm sure we will. But since we're all musically savvy and production nerds, I just wanted to ask, this is not really like a question that can be answered, but I'm curious, what is the hardest genre to produce? I've heard people be like, oh, it's drum and bass because it's the fast BPM. I'm like,
Whatever the fuck Ellipsis does.
Same.
ellipsis genre.
I think we described that in your episode as like
Broken
the
computer.
sound of your broken computer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not healthy.
Galaxy Brain stuff Jake's making.
What's the process behind making like them sounds and shit, Jake? Let him in, Ellipsis.
It's throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sounds good, and a lot of the time it doesn't, so then I just have to keep starting over, and it's a very hard cycle to break once you're in there. And sometimes you end up with too many ideas and they sound really jumbled and bad, and sometimes you don't end up with enough ideas and then that sounds really bad. And then trying to make those ideas coherent can get really bad. It's all really bad.
But it's a lot of resampling and like stretching and
a lot of
granulating.
resampling, and like sound design sessions are big, and like these guys can attest, I'm not really big on like buying plugins or downloading plugins. I like try to use what Ableton already has as much as I can, and like finding new ways, especially with all the new stuff in 11. I've been like exploring and like watching Chuck Sutton's videos on Ableton with Cam.
Shout out
like,
Chuck.
Shout out Chuck. Love Chuck. Dude is also Galaxy Brain. And yeah, just like finding ways to like break the rules and like do the opposite of what every producer will tell you you're supposed to do to make music is like,
yeah, you're definitely like pushing yourself outside of the norm. So I see why that would be like.
And it's funny because like
the harder route.
When people ask me and find out that like I do stuff very unorthodox, they'll be like, "Why do you do it that way?" I'm like, well, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fight me?
You fucking arrest me?
Yeah, I mean that's why the question is really like unanswerable because there's no right way, and also like something that's hard to one person, like music theory. Like Cam's got that in the bag, but maybe other things could be more difficult. I don't know, you know.
I would say I would counter this what's the hardest genre to make question with what's the most difficult aspect of production to learn, and
Sure.
I've found that is that's groove and
like swing
and humanizing the shits, because you can be the best mixing engineer in the world and all of your samples can be perfect and pristine, but if everything is perfectly on the grid, it does not please me.
Yeah, unless it's like dubstep or something.
Maybe even dubstep, like a lot of the
There's a lot
modern
of swing,
rhythm-y stuff. There's swing there. Like even that's important there. So I would say anything with a nasty groove, when I'm like, these pockets are deep, like that's what took the longest for me personally to learn and get comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, yeah, go.
If I can jump back in, I mean, I know I was put on the spot with my music, but like, I really do like applying my style to different genres depending on how I'm feeling that day. So like, if I'm making like some like chill lo-fi thing, or like a trap banger, or like a house beat, like it all still sounds weird and sounds like something I would do, but like I like that it's not like, I don't feel really not to sound corny as hell, but like I don't feel super confined to like one particular thing, because it's like I'm doing the same sort of thing in a different pattern or different style.
Hell yeah.
And like, I don't know, and like Kale does it super well too. I've learned a lot from Kale.
Yeah, Kale's beats are always like, there's like this pocket that you're like, didn't
Fuck the
expect,
grid.
and you're like, oh
Hell yeah.
shit.
Kale does not
Fuck
care.
the grid.
Yeah, those kicks.
It is hard though, because like when I sit down and I'm producing something, like the hardest fucking thing in the world is finding a pocket that I like, because I'll start writing a song and I'll be like halfway through and I'll be like, this pocket like is kind of hard, but like I need something that I can listen to for fucking 16 bars straight and be like, oh my god, this
Every
pocket's fire.
Yeah,
And it takes hours and hours to find like that mistake with like the note placement, or that mistake with like the way I stretched or chopped the sample, that like makes a pocket that I'd never be able to like write, like looking at MIDI notes.
Yeah,
Like
as
when I
fuck.
start messing with the audio and stretching it around, it's those accidents, those things I didn't expect, where I'm like, oh my god, that's my lead melody, like let's go. And then the rest of the song just fucking writes itself. Like after that, it's just like I'm like almost like blackout, and just everything I've learned the past 10 years just happens automatically after that.
You
But
just finish. You're like,
that,
okay, we gotta finish
that
this now.
one sound is that's the thing. It's so hard to get inspired, because the thing that inspires me
Is
is
random.
like after an hour or two of my process. So it's like I really have to like fucking sit down and tell myself, you're gonna work on music, or else it's never really gonna happen, where I'm like just messing around and like, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a challenge.
It's really fun when Kale and I sit down together, because we always like brainstorm, and like especially like when one of us is burned out and the other one's really feeling it, it's really fun to kind of like bounce ideas of like, why am I burned out, and really get like dive into like, what is it that we've been doing that makes us not feel like making music that day, or like in general. And like the days where we're both really excited to sit down and work on something, we both like hit like, and if not over here, he would say the avatar state, where you're producing and you're just like, oh my god, I'm so soaked in it.
Hell
It's
yeah.
yeah, sucked into this like thing that I'm doing right now. And it feels like, especially when just watching Kale do his thing, it's like he's flying. He's just like so cool.
That's what the beats sound like sometimes. They're just like flying around.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
When I finally start zoning out, dude, I think that's like when I'm like the happiest in my life, is probably like when I'm completely locked into a song
No kidding.
and I love it.
Yeah.
That and like being around like people like that are my friends. Those are like the two greatest things like in my life, in my opinion.
I saw a tweet recently. It was like, all right, guys, I found it. The meaning of life. hanging out with your friends.
Human connection.
So true.
For real, dude. It's important,
Yeah.
especially after the pandemic, man. Like, I didn't know how bad, like, I missed it. Like, at first I was like, hell yeah, I work from home. I've got my space. I don't have to have FOMO about anything. Yeah. And then I was like, damn, I need to be around people.
I miss my homies.
I need people.
Yeah. I feel like there's that whole like idle hands things where it's like if you just aren't doing anything, it's more time to think about like what's wrong.
And that's
Totally.
so something that's been, I mean, this is kind of recent now, maybe a little dated by the time the episode airs, but like, so right now Twitter is going nuts about just ghost production as a concept. And like, it's so like boggling to me because like for me, producing and like exploring and like doing all of what Kayla and I just talked about, like that's my favorite part. Like DJing's fun. It's fun to see people react to it in a live setting. Yeah. But like just that sense of exploring, especially with a friend who's also like equally in there exploring with you, and like especially like when TYG's in the room, he's like, yo, this is kind of cool, like I want to rap on this. Like that's like that's the best feeling to me. I love that.
And not to have like a hierarchy, but there kind of is. It's just like intrinsic in the process. Like the music has to be there for someone to DJ it. So it's like, you know, not to like poo DJs, like we all DJ at some point,
and
you know, but
to bring it full circle back to the back to Reset and like the live show conversation, DJing is a skill set in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Separately from production and writing music.
And none of what I said was to undercut that at all. Just to be clear.
A lot of people, myself included, started out DJing before making their own stuff. And it's not
almost said your OG name.
And it's not
reflex.
You better fucking not. TYG and I have known each other since high school. He's been there for all of it.
They heard the last episode.
Whatever. Yeah, they did. Yeah. If you haven't heard TYG's episode, go back and listen to it. But what I was going to say was, that's not to knock DJs. DJs are super important. Y'all got a platform. You don't need Reset. Y'all be just fine.
It's a different skill set. It's like taste making. Unless you're doing everything too, you're like, I'm DJing my own music. I mean, that's just like another level of, you know, putting forth the experience that you want people to, you know, experience. So yeah, no, it's just, I just feel like there is kind of an order. Like people had to make instruments before. People had to like. This is just so obvious, but it's just like
all the music that I sample to make my music.
We stand on the shoulders of giants. It's like like Splice, like all the people that are making the Splice samples. It's like it's shout out.
Get my man's a sample pack.
Well, and it's like
a sample pack.
True.
Going back to what Cam said at the beginning of when we started Reset, it was like it made so much sense to just say out loud, like, oh, the music should just be the forefront, and music coming from the person that made it and letting them express themselves in a space where they otherwise wouldn't. Like, it sounds so obvious, but like we weren't seeing that at all, or like not nearly at the level and not nearly with like the homies that we know being represented enough and doing what they do so well.
And that's the magical, that's the quote unquote magic of it, is platforming people and giving them that moment of what you're what you're hearing right now. I made this.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
And we're not selling merch or like making it this big display, although Kale's visuals are crazy and also a very good draw for the shows. But like,
and that's not to say we won't do merch eventually. Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
But likewise.
Speaking of
but
things on the horizon,
much less about the gimmick of being there and like the branding of it, and more about like you're going there because you know what we booked is going to be good music,
or you're a friend to somebody who's performing, and like,
and it's a space we can all get to know each other, friends hanging out,
and like not to be like egotistical about it, like, oh, like I made this and I'm DJing and whatever. It's just like, I think that there's just more meaning in there. It doesn't have to be like, I'm sure some people can get sucked into the I do everything myself type of thing. Like, but that doesn't have to be the way either. Like if you're using Splice samples, like you're not doing everything yourself necessarily.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
Heavy lifting.
So,
and like, I'm now thinking of there's like I forget where this is from originally, but it's a little anecdote that's like, all right, people, someone told me that using samples is cheating, so I started recording my own drums. And then someone told me that recording on drums is cheating, so I started building my own drums. And then someone told me building my own drums is cheating, so I started I started making my own drum heads from goat skin. And I haven't really had enough time for the music, what with the goat farming and all that.
Like gardening.
Yeah, it all breaks down at some point. But like,
Right.
It's not about like samples. It's about like, it's like, how are you making it different? How are you changing something to where like, or using it in a way like, you know, if you're making something cool and you're making something original, I don't think it really matters what sounds you use to make it and
For
where
sure.
you got them from. Because it's all the Wild West these days.
You can take 2 steps and it's like, oh, that's so different. You pitched it down.
True as fuck.
Whoa, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
you know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, hip hop's been doing that for like.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
it's
hip-hop,
always
you know?
been the Wild West because people been stealing songs forever. Like re-record somebody's song and just completely re-release it, and it's like that song is still out there, but like this person gets more famous than this person or whatever, blah blah blah. So it's like there is a certain thing of integrity, but like if you're about to take this sample and you're not intending to just like use that as the song and then you just do something over it, like if you intend on taking it, chopping that shit up, like fucking that shit up and reusing it, like that is what that is there for.
For sure, yeah, it's the intent. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of intent and what you were talking about with Twitter, what is up with this FN? What is this guy's name? Mike? Do you know what I'm talking about?
AI.
The AI
I gotta get his name right.
whoa, there's an AI rapper.
You
Have
didn't
you
hear
guys
about
not
this?
hear
Not,
about?
not really.
Well, okay, so 2 guys linked up with a rapper and asked if they could use his likeness as an AI rapper, in which they like, I don't know if he was writing the songs, I don't know if they was writing the songs, but
And he agreed to this?
yeah, he agreed to it. I mean, and honestly, it is a cool idea, except for like,
What they did with it?
well, like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's like the ethics behind like them programming this like black AI and like
the programmers are white guys.
Yeah, the programmers are white guys,
Damn.
They stiffed the.
and they stiffed the guy,
yeah.
the
Wow,
original
fuck
rapper.
that.
Behind like. The whole
So
thing.
like they're making all the money and shit. So like it was like an ethics thing. So
Wow,
like it
fuck
could have
them.
been, it could have been a cool opportunity for that guy, but like
It boiled into capitalism.
it like yeah, they
Yeah.
fucked it up. And so like he got signed to, was it Capitol Records?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a legitimate ass record label.
What a
got
couple-
a collaboration with Gunna.
What a couple of nuts in a nutsack.
Yeah. And so it like kind of got fucked up. Like
Yeah,
it started off as a cool
yeah.
thing, but like it's not cool.
Yeah, we don't want to like necessarily bring too much attention to this person. I don't even think I got
No,
the
I don't
name
know any
right,
of their
but,
names or anything like
but
that.
they did some. They had like some commentary about like what it is to be black in the United States.
Yeah, I'm sure they
and,
shot
like,
themselves in the foot multiple
They
times.
like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
went too far with
And then
it.
they
Yeah.
tried to like bring the guy back that they stiffed.
Yeah, they were like,
we need you because
yeah.
you
will
make it like
legitimize it,
look
but
bad. It's like
it was too late.
So messed up,
too
dude.
late.
And they
Yeah.
they just talk in circles around it. The emails are just whatever, dude. Like you guys.
I didn't get too
are
deep.
dicks.
Also,
I
so that was my
kind of just
surface.
started going into it because I was like, what the fuck? Everything in the news now, I'm just like, I feel like there's just too much
Everything's so
going
crazy.
on.
It's
But
dystopian as fuck.
But like this is not the last time we will see something like this.
No.
And just like with the advent of AI created things in general with like Mid-Journey and DALL-E and that kind of stuff, like that's going to come to music. I'm sure it already is.
is.
I'd write raps for
I
AI.
use AI samples.
I'd
Yeah.
write some fire bars for
Fun.
AI. Give me AI's bars and I will edit them to make them better.
See,
That's
like
a
you
sick
can use
idea.
it as a tool. So I'm
Damn.
just kind of curious, like what you guys think of. I mean, this is also not just AI, but it's like a virtual artist. And we were talking about this on a different podcast with some other guys. But like one of them brought up that, you know, an AI artist can perform
Work,
24/7.
labor. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say.
24/7. Like you could literally go there all day long as much as you want.
And
they're
they
not
would give
going to
a
get tired.
full-fledged, the best performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not like really at that point yet where holograms
I mean, yo, Kendrick
are-
Lamar did a hologram and he's alive.
Well, okay. they're definitely like implementing stuff, and the deep fakes, that's also terrifying.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
It's funny you brought that up about like the AI. Like an AI like entertainer could go forever because they don't need to sleep. There are a lot of people that have worked in social media for a long time and marketing and stuff that are actually like they're predicting that TikTok, the platform for short videos, is actually gonna change to be like a platform that favors long content. Like the longer you can keep viewers on a live video, the better. Like because it keeps people on the app longer.
Yeah, I believe
AI will be able to provide that like kind of entertainment companionship aspect for people for 24 hours, like nonstop.
Brain
7
is
days
gonna
a week.
become oatmeal.
Jeez.
yeah.
yeah, dude.
Crazy.
A friend of ours, I mentioned her earlier, Ivy Halavana. We bond over like laughing in disbelief and hysterics at this dude on TikTok. He'll do these live streams on TikTok where all he does is just continuous, as Kale said, for as long as he can, as long as viewers will stick around and watch him and continue to, quote, subscribe to his shit. All he does is talk box covers of pop songs. He will let the song play, and it's some like it's some cover of the song that won't get copyright struck. Or like just the chords to the songs because you can't copyright chord progressions.
Not yet.
And he will just he'll play the talk box. He has a little 2-octave keyboard in front of him. He has the talk box tube in his mouth, and he'll
that was a pretty good talk box.
Thank
I would
you.
watch that for hours.
Thank you. And he says the most ridiculous
He's freestyling.
he is freestyling.
That is amazing.
And he's saying
that guy's talented.
but it sounds procedurally generated. This is a real dude in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, or some shit.
Canadians are weird.
Who
It's like gibberish. Like
no,
type
it's
shit?
like like he's scatting, freestyling with the talkbox. Sometimes he's borrowing lyrics from whatever pop song he's covering. Sometimes if people donate a certain amount of money, he will shout them out in the talkbox song.
Yo, he's making money.
But it just sounds like a computer made it.
I would have that person propose to my wife.
right.
Just donate $2,000 and be like, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah.
That as
generated.
That's not true, baby. I wouldn't do that.
that is that's daily experience that I've had with that phenomenon. So I totally believe that TikTok is already maybe even knees deep in that pool, as it were.
Yeah.
In the
Gotta
driver's
be.
seat with how a lot of music stuff is starting to go.
When you think about it, all rappers are AI rappers.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. No, I'm just kidding. Why?
We
No,
are,
that-
we
that
are
was-
all
Okay.
artificially intelligent.
Don't encourage.
Yeah,
that.
we're already computers.
I created a whole fake life. All my raps are lies.
I mean, but that's like, I don't know. It's just it's weird. I mean, I feel like when I started using like the AI generated like visual art, I was like, oh, this is like terrifying, but it's also really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I want to at least be at the forefront of it to like see what's capable, because then it's like, oh shit, like then I know at least what is gonna get maybe less meaningful in some way. Like I don't know.
Totally. That's the crux of the conversation for me, is where it loses
The
meaning.
Mhm.
Because like
It's still
you-
experimental technically. So it's like if you like
Yeah.
experimental art, like AI
It's-
art
yeah.
is art.
It's like saying
sure.
you can't blend
Yeah.
paints.
yeah,
But I think maybe at least with some of the AI, like you can see, like you can kind of tell, at least I've fucked around with Mid-Journey a bunch. Like you can kind of tell when something's Mid-Journey. And I feel like people who are, I guess this is kind of a shot at people doing this, but like if your whole thing is like, I just do AI art, and you're like being like, yeah, this is my art. It's like, I mean,
Yeah, that's a little
like,
weird. But
Yo,
it's
really?
kinda true,
I don't
but
know.
Yeah.
So, Micah is a dungeon master for one of my D&D sessions, and they like to use the AI to like create like settings or like
Maps.
create
Yeah.
villains.
Yeah,
or
that's
like
sick.
Yeah.
it's just like
Or like
describing
storyboard or
describing
something.
this setting, and it's like you get put in this, like it was supposed to be like a meeting hall for elves inside of a giant tree, and you look at the image, and we're playing D&D, so we kind of get it, but like when you really look closely, it's like these lights are just kind of waving, and it's like it's not actually what it would, I don't know, it's not real, but it's like it's fun, like it's used to like bolster an already imaginative feel, kind of like with music or kind of like with visual arts. I think if like you have an imaginative perspective on it, you can use it for limitless things. But like you were saying, there will be people who are gonna be like exclusive about it or like derogatory about it, where it's like this is the best kind of art, or like I do this exclusively and like I don't care about how it affects other people, because it's like it's gonna have a series of effects, but you can also use it for like not evil.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put the genie back in the bottle either. Like, it's just what it is now. And I don't know, I feel like as content creators and just artists, whatever, content creators is not my favorite word, because it just means that there's like more noise out there.
But to that point, like I think a lot of where everyone is constantly competing is for attention. And like TikTok is really good at maintaining your attention, but because of like
it's really good
collective ADHD, I think something like that also has, like, if it's like a sustained thing, I think the initial surprise of it being like, oh, this is a new thing that exists, is gonna probably capture people's attention, maybe for a little while, but like people will eventually move on, just because like there's always something else trying to grab you.
And there's going to be like a new iteration that's even better, like look what it can do now, like okay, cool.
Or it's just like, it's just not even going to have that shock factor that got your attention in the first place anymore.
Yeah, but it like I'm just like the worrier in this sense that it's like that we're just gonna be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, it's fucking incredible. We have something that generates art and it's so good, and we're just like, yeah,
but like that's the same thing people thought about like when like VR first became a thing. They were like, Xbox was like, this is gonna, you know what I'm saying? This is the fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? And like it went nowhere. Like that shit didn't do anything.
On my Oculus.
The Wii had the craziest hype. Like they made the Kinect immediately after. Like, and that shit wasn't shit. Like the Wii doesn't get any play now.
I feel like, okay, this is kind of what I've been digging at too. It's like if AI is gonna be making songs just as good as,
it's not gonna be
whatever. Like maybe not as unique. Like I feel like the uniqueness of songs is all we're always gonna have the upper hand, you know, against the tech. But like, you know, it's just if we get to the point where at least like trap beats are just like not worth making because like AI can just spit that out in 2 seconds, like I feel like it just means we gotta like.
Never happen though.
You don't think so?
I think the people who would benefit most from something like that would be like major labels or like shit like that. And if honestly all the major labels want to stop taking advantage of like kids that are just trying to make art and just start using AI, they can do that over there.
By all means.
And all of the humans will come over here
please
and
stop taking
come into our.
advantage.
I don't necessarily think that's gonna happen though. Like I feel like the uniqueness of like certain people's styles and stuff is not gonna be captured. Like
people connect to the artist on a personal level. Like, you know, if you've been listening to an artist for 5 years and you meet them, you know, your heart beats fast. Like, you're nervous to meet them. You're excited to meet them. Like, you care about this person, you know, like you like pictures of them on the internet. Like there's always a person behind every artist you hear. And for instance, if it's a person using AI to make music or something, I'd still be interested in the person and their process.
Right.
If their process is, I tell a computer to make music for me, you don't care, then I wouldn't listen to it. But you know, if it's like, there's always, I feel like that person aspect of being an artist is never going to go away, and an AI is never going to replace it.
It's like,
in my opinion,
if Mark Zuckerberg makes an AI or if Tyler the Creator makes an AI, like.
It's got that.
I'd be interested in Tyler the Creator's AI. To be honest, I want to hear what kind of songs it makes. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that Tyler is an enigma in their own self, but like, I know that metaverse is some bullshit. I know I'm gonna go in there and it's fucking like Blockheads Sims.
It's whack right now. Yeah. Right now it's whack, but I don't know. It's just an interesting conversation like that. I feel like as producers and, you know, artists, that it's worth exploring. You
Yeah,
know? It's
for
worth
sure.
like knowing what's out
Absolutely.
there at
Yeah.
least.
If you're an artist, take advantage of whatever's new, fresh, and coming out. Like, just play with everything.
Yeah.
True.
Totally. Don't skip out. Don't like hate. Be like, I'm never using that AI stuff. Like, you never know. Could be cool. It's a lot of fun.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's honestly a lot of fun. I've used it for tons of stuff already too. All right. Well, this is like another question that's kind of like, who the fuck knows? But as music makers, what do we think if we could predict like a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now, what will be some future genres? Like, I know this is kind of what everyone is trying to do. Like, if you knew the future, you'd be like, oh, we got to make that right now because we can make some money, or we could, like, whatever, you know?
If I may, I actually think there's going to be fewer genres. I think that genre is going to be less important because it's like, I mean, genre as we currently see it is like, how do you get your music categorized into a playlist or into like a vibe that someone is setting to try and make your music fit in a box with other people's music. And I think as a producer, I think a lot of people try to like borrow from several genres at once or like blend inspirations from different sources to create something original. And the idea of like putting something in a box to be a genre is almost like branding it and like packaging it in a way that's acceptable for consumers to be like, oh, I like this kind of thing.
Yeah, like most artists, whenever people ask me, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I make like beats and stuff.
Because like if you think about like 10 years ago, everyone called what Skrillex makes techno. Not
right,
everyone,
yeah.
but like,
Nobody listens to techno.
right.
So weird.
But now everyone's like, oh, I listen to future bass, or I listen to dubstep, or I listen to like hybrid trap, or like all these little microcosm things.
Deconstructed club.
And then people still
I don't even know what that is.
People still don't know what to call G Jones, and now people are calling like left field bass is a thing, and like
Yeah, but
there's,
that's
like a
so
little
vague.
Glitch core.
I like the
favorite Twitch.
I think the name that I like the most, that like I agree with the most, is like freeform electronic music, because so many artists are doing so many different things.
Shout out Jordy.
You can use any sound. You can do any style beat from any genre. You could have no beat. And some like my friend Luke, actually in New York, he shared with me like some of his work that he's been working on for years. And it's like this crazy mixture of like One O Tricks Point Never, but with like vaporwave. And it's just like, and he like brings in his like Armenian like background into it with the samples. And it's just like this like twisted like beautiful thing, and like there's no other genre I could put on it other than it's freeform electronic music. It's saying
Armenian ambient.
but not even, because then it gets
Let me put it in a box for you.
it's
No,
so
I'm just
good.
kidding.
I can't wait for him to put it out, because it's like that, in my opinion, what he showed me, I'm like, this is the future, like in my opinion. No rules, just pure expression with sounds.
Word. So, did you have a genre though that you were thinking of, or were
Yeah, I was gonna say like the freeform.
just the free?
Yeah,
okay.
pretty much. I think like when Flume was like, a lot of interviewers when Flume was like starting to get popular would like ask, you know, like, hey, what do you call this? And he was like, I like to call it like experimental electronica with a strong hip hop influence. And like that took off like online. Like I would listen to like mixtape, like there were like 8 tracks, like just random websites. Like if I was like listening to music, like, you know, those like Pandora and stuff, I would type that in, and that's how I actually found all my music. So like, just like he just said that, and it like created a genre, and then that created more genres and more genres, to the point where it's like, thinking back on that, like that was a wide range of music that I was listening to when I was just typing in that one genre, like, you know, so it's like,
Yeah, that's actually interesting. It's always like we have to go back and decide what it is. We're like, people make it and it's like, oh, that's cool, and I haven't heard anything like that. And then it's like, well, what do we call it? You know? And there's a
music.
there's a Spotify playlist called Blog House, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that Bloghouse is what
That's
I
cool.
listen to
No,
as
fucking slit my throat.
Podcasts.
That makes
But
me
it's
want to.
but it's like that
Keel
doesn't
over
mean
and die.
anything.
Deep
Bloghouse just
podcast.
It
means,
doesn't mean fucking anything. Exactly.
It doesn't mean anything. It literally just means that there was a period of time on the internet where blogs were like more like just started becoming a thing, like music blogs.
Am I making this up? There's an editorial Spotify playlist called Lorem Ipsum.
What even? Oh yeah, Lorem Ipsum is like with the
That is the
text.
default Latin font for whenever you make a text box in
HTML.
most in most any
Design
whatever
programs.
design whatever.
It's literally dummy text to fill as if you had a paragraph or something.
right.
And there's an editorial Spotify playlist. That is to say, it's a Spotify playlist that is populated with songs by Spotify hired people
yeah,
People on
who
payroll.
get paid
Yeah.
to do this.
right.
And it's called Lorem Ipsum, implying that the music is so generic sounding that it gets its own little generic sounding
that.
playlist.
I like that.
I hate that.
I want to make generic.
This is why we're friends.
Because you guys can go back and forth.
I have a good genre. I was thinking about it
Oh, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
hard for a while. When you go back and watch the video, you'll notice how hard I was fucking thinking.
You were just sitting there like,
Apocalyptic trap.
I'm in.
Oh,
I feel like
real.
that's already Nightmare.
No, it's even worse than that, dog.
Oh,
It's real.
it's like when we really the
When
genre.
we get 10 years in the down the line, dog.
Uh-huh.
Apocalyptic.
The
trap,
genre comes from not having a lot of tools because they've been wiped out from.
I'm
the
thinking more
apocalypse.
like
So,
I'm
it's
thinking
whatever
more
you
like
got.
like yes, it'll be like clunkily made because the hardware and the internet and all that stuff, but like it's like drill music, but it's like about like real circumstances.
Like we're running
Like
out of water.
The things that happen.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
mock
yeah,
it, dog, because
yeah.
people
No,
gonna
yeah,
put
I
their
mean-
soul into that shit, bro.
I mean, yeah.
And it is
Let's
gonna
hope
be
that doesn't
intense.
happen. But
Jeez, are we gonna get
Damn,
like a
that's
whole
insane,
like
dude.
climate change
Just
inspired
yes, bro.
genre?
But they about to be
Yeah.
they about to be giving you that shit
Climate
though.
house.
And you're gonna listen to this. You're gonna be like, this is crazy.
well,
oh
but
my
like
fucking God.
the new Flume album, I noticed that there's like a really heavy. I don't remember if they just donated money to like World Wildlife Foundation or whatever.
Oh
like
yeah, the whole theme of it is like late stage capitalism and how it's destroying the earth.
yeah.
I'm sure he was pretty gentle about it. You said it was who?
Flume.
Flume. Oh, Flume makes hard ass music.
Yeah, but also like that's again another thing where later maybe someone would be like, yeah, there was this whole like historians be like 2 years in
Before
2022 to 2024
Yosemite
there was a
exploded.
huge push. Yeah, like it's always going back.
I like what Jake said in that the lines between genres will become fewer and blurrier. Can't speak to like I can't conjecture like the name of a genre that we're gonna see soon that doesn't exist yet. But what I predict happening, a trend I predict happening, and something that I hope happens is we're gonna start hearing more snares that are not on the 2 and the 4.
That'd be cool, yeah.
i.e.
Jordan.
Incorporating some less putting the snare on the 2 and the 4 is a very Western groove, I guess you could say. So I think we're going to start hearing more South American and more African grooves moving into Western music.
You think that we'll also get like different meter, like like 3/4 or like
Maybe
6,
not necessarily.
8, or,
I'm
I don't know.
thinking still mostly shit that can be considered to be in 4 counts, but just snares moved different snare grooves, different
sure.
offbeats.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
A lot of shit like that, like, is going down in like a lot of underground shit, like BK the Ruler. BK the Ruler has always got interesting grooves. I think for a while, her like boyfriend or something was doing all her production, but BK the Ruler's fire. BK the Ruler's the future.
Word. Shout out. All right, so another fun question for the producers and whatever.
Plus me.
TYG
Yeah,
knows enough
I'm
about
sorry, I keep
producing
saying
to probably
producer.
answer most of those.
That's why I'm like, you're a producer. Come on. Like,
I'm not a fucking producer.
No.
TYG stands over my shoulder and goes, move that there.
More
He'd be like, bro, what? Where?
I wanted to get your guys' take on what hyperpop was because when we went to like your shows, I remember being like, this is such a specific genre, and then later like people labeling it as hyperpop, and I was like, oh, I mean, I guess that could be kind of what it is. But like I feel like you were really at the forefront of that, booking people, but I also don't want to put you in a box with that where it's like, oh yeah, I was trying to book hyperpop people. It was just like, you fuck with these people. But what is hyperpop?
Hyperpop playlist Spotify. Shout out Fraxion Music.
Yeah,
I'll let TYG broach this actually, and I'll tap in to. Well, okay. I'll start. Sorry.
Okay.
Based on that reaction, I won't make TYG do that.
Hyperpop.
Hyperpop playlist Spotify. I really only started putting on what can be considered hyperpop, quote unquote, onto the Reset shows because it was a newer sound, and we had people immediately in our circle who are making shit that can be categorized as such. I didn't go out of my way to when I was like, oh, this hyperpop sound, I need this on the Reset show. Be hot. It's really just because we were already friends with Umru, and we were putting on this really huge night of music in February 2020, and Umru was like, oh, you know about Fraxium? I was like, oh yeah, they rock. And Umru was like, yeah, well, they're moving to Chicago. The first opportunity you get, you should book them on something. I was like, absolutely. And that's
that show was wild.
And that's the first time we put on Frax. And they really, I don't know, their solo vocal shit was very new. They were very new to the vocal stuff. I think they were just doing productions and remixes and things, at least in their released repertoire as of that time. Speaking to hyperpop as a genre and like what begot what, as far as labeling it, what it is known as today, hyperpop, it was very much Spotify taking this huge spectrum of different sounds and
PC music.
Yeah, and putting it into one box. Pretty high up on the part of the iceberg meme that is above the water would be PC music, I think. And then going down deeper are really just a bunch of it's a very queer sound. It's a lot of queer kids who are making this music, and it's and you can't ignore the black influence. It's very pulls a lot from hip hop, really, is what, in my shitty opinion, what it boils down to. So I'm really just rambling at what I think about hyperpop. I think
that's what I wanted.
I think it's a bullshit label. I think that anyone who makes the hyperpop playlist on Spotify will tell you that it's a bullshit label. I know Frax does. Another friend of ours, Jay Foley, will also tell you that. Jay will actually like make it a part of her live sets to like make fun of putting music in a box and commodifying music. She makes a chant at least every time I've seen her live of like, we hate music. It's like it's the stark contrast between the box that the greater music industry is trying to put it in and the attitudes behind the people making it is so stark.
Yeah, I feel like that's been like a long battle.
Yeah,
for like
it's ironic.
Across many genres.
Yeah.
Punk,
and that's what I was really gonna say. Like, I guess that would be what I would contribute to what he was saying is like, it. So a lot of these acts that we would put under like the guise of hyperpop, like some of them consider themselves rappers, some of them consider themselves singers, some of them consider their influence punk, some of them consider their influence hip hop. But like, I guess the reason why it's called hyperpop is because it draws from all of these influences like equally. And that's why like you could put like Jedwill and like underscores like in that same room and say they're doing something that's the same thing. Like, no, that's not. That's not like
two artists I had in my mind
yeah,
the whole time.
It's because like they're both like undeniably great. They're both like obviously making music that's like phenomenal, but it's like they're not doing the same. They're not drawing from the same influences. But hyperpop would tell you that like they are the same influence because that's all pop music. So it's kind of like it's kind of ignoring all of the pushback that genre has always gotten and kind of being the ultimate. I guess that's why people resist it, because it's the ultimate fuck you. It's like, nah, none of that stuff was ever different. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it was all okay that people were getting taken advantage of through the transition from blues to rock to fucking funky ass fucking music, where people were just really all in these different eras responding to the different economic and social like stimulus and just making something that felt representative of that. And now in this age where we have access to all of this shit, and if you ask someone their favorite artist, they're either going to say an obscure list of people that you've never heard before or the same 6 people that you've heard. You know what I'm saying? But it's like we all hear all of it though. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when people are making music now, or at least like we talked a lot about this on my episode before, when I was making my album, I was drawing from all these different pop influences, but I wanted to kind of strain it out and separate it, and so you can see the different levels. But like for a lot of people like Jedwill, it's like all of that shit just gets like mixed up real heavy, and then he just pours the liquid out. Yeah.
You cannot categorize me in a way that matters.
I feel like what I'm getting from this is like genres are very, like they box you in.
I mean, it's for commodification,
Yeah, it's mostly like when money gets involved, and like that's why you kind of got to box it in a way. I feel like it's not the most evil thing. Like in some ways there has to be a little bit of classification in order to be like you can't book an artist. I mean, maybe you can, but a big company that's like, all right, what's your genre? And they're just like, I don't know. It's like, well, how are we going to book you?
I will say that putting labels on things, not necessarily confining it to a box, but putting labels on things is helpful. But what I try to do more is say what something sounds like rather than this is what it is.
Right.
You know? Something that another friend of ours, Creator K, who curates music and is doing the music TikTok influencer thing, which is really crazy. He's been doing great at it. Shout out to him. He when he is his whole platform is putting you onto music that he's enjoying and that he thinks you would like. But instead of being like, if you like third wave alt rap, whatever the fuck,
I don't even know what that is.
Instead of saying it doesn't mean, I was just making something up. Instead of trying to put it in a genre box, he gives you 3 very moderately to very popular artists,
or like albums
or the albums that the artist he's trying to put you onto sounds like. Not fits in this box, but is similar to this other shit. If you like this other shit that's very popular, you might like this thing that nobody knows about.
So it's all like on a map, but it's amorphous in a way. Like it's maybe it's sitting between these two genres. Maybe.
Well, it's very similar to how, like, I'm sure if you've used SoundCloud recently, like their algorithm for like recommending you tracks is usually pretty good, because and it's not like. I don't know how the algorithm works, but like they're not like, oh, you like this trap artist, here's other trap artists, and it gives you everything from Travis Scott to fucking Flostradamus. It's gonna be like, oh, you've listened to this, here's what other people are listening to, and like take with that what you will.
He uses the people.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably also uses like reposts. Like if that artist is reposting
Sure.
something.
And
I mean,
that's
I
a
have
whole-
no
yeah.
idea.
That's a whole
but-
other mess. That's not what I was trying to get into necessarily. But like, it's more identifying with similar, like what Cam was saying, similar creative people, not a branding or a genre or these other constructs that aren't real.
It's the community. People that know each other and are friends with each other, like their sounds will reflect that to a certain degree. And I think
Totally.
you don't, there's not a name you can put on people listening to each other, express each other, and getting inspiration from that. Like that's something that has no name. So, Spotify and whoever else is just like putting names on it.
But
putting
also
names on
like
culture.
fucking 40 years ago, like homies couldn't just all get into a room and be like, let's make a song. Let's make a song and release it so the whole world can hear it. Like,
well, they had to like buy that room.
Well, you had to fucking.
I mean, you still got to buy a room, but
even let's go 40 years ago, people were still obviously making music and selling it by the million. But it's like you had to literally like jump through hoops and like record it, stop recording, throw the whole fucking thing away, put a new thing in there, start recording,
Get on the radio.
Hopefully, you don't fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? One person fucks up, it's like that forever. Like now. Like genre was useful when you were going into a record shop and you wanted to buy records because that was the only way you could listen to this shit. Genre's not really as useful anymore when it's unlimited. Like what it uses as a label if every fucking record has its own label, like what is the use of these labels? You might as well just pick something up. They're all gonna just have another random name. But yeah, also like,
And then you add sampling.
what I thought of was like us following the same concept of genre from 50 years ago is like us saying that like something like the Constitution that was written hundreds of years ago can still be applicable to like the way that we live life today. You know what I'm saying? It's like that shit just doesn't apply because now we can do anything at any moment. We can fucking all just pull our phones out, cut all the expensive shit off. Everybody pull our phones out and we can make a whole song and then upload it to Spotify.
You would go so far as to say that genrefying things is archaic.
Yeah, it's obsolete.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that too. Let's make a new platform that has no genre.
Spotify, make a playlist called Archaic.
And just put as many different genres.
And it's just oops all Elvis or something.
Oops,
But it's
all
like
music.
if we all come in
Random
here
shuffle.
and we all make one song together, or if we all make different songs, all those inspirations are going to be different, but we all have the capability to just upload that as one album. So like, what's the genre of that album now?
Lorem ipsum.
And not to go a couple levels too deep.
Let's go.
Maybe genre. If you go back far enough, you could make the argument that genres were really started to categorize things in the record shops, like TYG said, to really just figure out what to sell to the white audience and what to sell to the black audience. Because if you go back far enough, that was important capitalistically to getting the
that would be like
art in front of the right people
music.
to sell them. Right.
Urban music is the most like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Racial as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, like
So yeah,
growing up in Memphis, like everyone was fucking obsessed with Elvis, and it's like all they did was have him copy what black people were doing, put it in the white people section of the record store, and then white people were hearing it probably for the first time, it being like, holy shit, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Like
Archaic.
none of that ever mattered. It was all just the branding and
archaic.
stealing from black people.
Literally hand in hand with segregation, archaic.
So I feel like we got to go back to like now 24, and it's just like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like
Are they still making those?
I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Like we just do. It's like a time capsule. Like this is 2022, and it's just whatever. I mean, I don't
Because
know.
it's like at a
real
certain
shit.
point it got too easy. Like when CDs hit the mark, like when CDs became a thing, like literally it became too easy. People were burning CDs. Bootlegs were like,
yeah.
you can get new movies, new albums for $4, $5. Like that shit was like, that's undefeatable.
Yeah, I mean,
You
But
wouldn't steal a
comparison
car.
to like vinyls and shit like that, and like buying little CDs and little records and shit like that. Like that shit was not easy to replicate. Whereas you could just get a stack of blank CDs, throw the little clear frisbee thing, and then fucking make 40 of an album.
Yeah.
People started making their own. Now that's what I call music.
Exactly.
Shit. People started making their own. Now that's what I call music for themselves. And now all
Yeah,
these
like
different platforms we use, like Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever, we're essentially listening to a never-ending stream of our own. Now that's what I call music.
So
by
what genre
using
is
the
that?
platform.
Yeah, what genre is that, Spotify?
There is no genre. It's just people making art, expressing themselves, and other people listening. Like that's really like what's going on now with a lot of music that's not highly commercialized. Some highly commercialized too, like Charlie XCX, for example. That's genuine music, but is being very highly commercialized.
Well, she already kind of was like in the scene, and she was like, "Wow, fucking hyperpop, quote unquote, is sick. I want to like get involved with the artists of that." But yeah, like
Yeah, I would argue it was less. I want to get involved with hyperpop, and more like really found friends in the PC music people.
for sure. Yeah, that was a kind of a
100%.
bad way of explaining it.
Hyperpop happened after all of them already knew
Right.
each other and were making music for sure.
So hyperpop, we're still not really sure. When money gets involved with music, things go south.
I'm sure if you asked the
uh,
record exec, they would know exactly what hyperpop is. They could tell you.
Yeah. Well,
in
it's
10 words or
actually
less.
It's between 130 and 138 BPM. Usually
Auto-tune.
sticks to these three keys, and
Very ironically blown out all the time.
yeah, distorted, but the kids love it.
mixed terribly. But the kids love it, and that's all I care about.
Yeah.
It's like that's
Like punk
that's
rock.
exactly how they described rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we have covered a lot of ground. I'm kind of getting hot. It's hot in this room, and I'm
Yeah, real
sorry.
shit.
So,
No, it's
I
good.
think we
I like
wrapped.
We can open up a window. What the hell is going
We can, but it's also hot out there. So I don't know.
Yeah, we
I
can
feel like
wrap.
we've done good though.
Hell yeah.
And I just wanted to ask: is there anything? I mean, we've already kind of featured Reset Book Club. Definitely go check that out.
Yeah.
Any shout outs? There's been a bunch of shout outs too.
Shout out
Yeah.
Poducer.
Hey,
Shout out
thanks,
Poducer.
guys.
Thank you, Jerry.
Appreciate it, guys.
Hell yeah. But yeah, at reset_presents on Instagram and Twitter. We're not done.
Shy.
We're not done yet. And at Book Club Chai on Instagram as well. If you want to come to a show sometime, Reset or not. It's a lot of rock bands, a lot of like electronic music that's not under Reset. We don't have a monopoly on that shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people doing shit.
If you want a book,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you're if you're in the Chicago area and you're looking for a platform to put on your show, we are booking.
Yeah, it's good vibes.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Great vibes.
All right, guys. Later. All right,
Bye.
now we're gonna do the thing. The
No.
hands together. Reset.
That's rare ridiculous.
Times Poducer. All right, cool.
Yes.
Bye.
Awesome.
Later.
Go vote.
Oh, whoa, dog. Jesus
Here we
Christ.
go.
Go vote for
Political.
TYGKO.